Good evening. We present the news summary. Voting at all polling stations today were calm and orderly. For the first day of voting for presidential and National Assembly elections, voting took place on 3 outer islands and several special voting stations.
The voting process began today on 3 outer islands, Astove, Assomption, and Farquhar, as election officials set off early this morning to oversee the presidential and National Assembly elections there. The first group of officials left the Electoral Commission office just after 3 a.m. after completing all necessary verifications. The team is being led by Electoral Officer Thomas Taubin, who was accompanied by other officials. Police provided escort for the journey to ensure secure transportation of election materials. Representatives of various political parties were present during preparations and polling at the Remand Center. According to the station's polling officer, Bennett Akush, there were 180 people on the voters list, including detainees and prison service officers. Out of these, 147 cast their votes. 27 individuals were not found on the voter register and 2 chose not to vote. However, the 2 who declined were required to sign a declaration confirming that their decision was made voluntarily. All necessary protocols were followed in collecting the election materials, which have now been submitted to the Electoral Commission for the next stage of the process. A total of 74 people voted at the Notice Point Elderly Home, where a special polling station was set up. Election officer Donald Zialor reported that the process has been smooth. There were a couple of minor hiccups when scanning identity cards, as the system failed to detect some barcodes. However, Mr. Zialor assured the media that this had not hindered the voting process, as alternative procedures to verify identities were successfully followed. Originally, 83 residents were on the official voter list, but with the arrival of new residents at the home, the number has now risen to 88. At the Pralin Special Polling Station based at the Bissetan Primary School, all ended in a calm and orderly manner. The electoral officer has not provided the latest figure, but out of the 441 names listed on the electoral register at the station, 247 have casted their vote. Present at the station were observers from SADC, ARID, and the Citizens Democracy Watch.
A delegation of election observers from the African Union and COMESA paid a courtesy call on President Ramkalawan at State House today. Their visit to Seychelles forms part of their mission to observe the presidential and National Assembly elections, which began this morning. The delegation is led by former Prime Minister of Lesotho, Mr. Mosisi Lee. During the meeting, Mr. Mosisi Lee congratulated Seychelles on its continued efforts to uphold democratic principles. And a delegation from Francophonie also paid a courtesy call on President Ramkalawan at State House today. The Cabinet of Ministers has confirmed that no new changes will be introduced or revisions made to the current tax regime. The Cabinet has upheld the changes to the income tax regime as previously presented and approved by the National Assembly in 2024. This decision was approved during a meeting held yesterday, chaired by President Ramkalawan. Vice President Ahmed Afif explained how the tax relief measures for taxpayers will be implemented.
The government wishes to encourage individuals to invest in their families and their future. And invest, we're talking of investments in their own private pensions, in investments in their homes. So, for example, they would be paying interest on their homes. Invest in education, invest in health. And we feel that such investments by individuals, if we encourage that, will reduce the burden on the public sector to provide for similar services in health and education. And therefore, by reducing that burden, allow more resources to be deployed for others who may require it much more. And because of that, to encourage people to do that, we will provide a relief to what they pay in terms of these services. This measure will reduce how much people pay in taxes, but it's an encouragement to invest.
This was the news summary. More news at 8 p.m.